We are here on the fabulous Kings Road, very close to where I live in Chelsea in London. Welcome to episode 6, believe it or not, of Behind the Style with me, Emily Evans. And I've been wanting to interview this special person for a long time. You will know her from her incredible dresses. Basically, like if you want a dress, where do you go? Well, we are here today at the gorgeous flagship store RIXO with the fabulous Henrietta Rix, who is the wonderful co-founder and brand director of RIXO. Welcome to Behind the Style.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a delight to kind of be here with you and chat. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So quickly, my first 2 questions always for every guest. In a nutshell, the best thing about your job and the worst thing about your job?
Yeah, it's interesting this one. So the best thing is definitely just seeing people wear RIXO in a really random location. So we call it RIXO in the wild, and it can be someone on the tube, or if you're on holiday and someone just like walks by you and they're like, oh my God, they're in RIXO. That's definitely the best thing, because I mean, it's great having a celebrity or someone wear RIXO for brand recognition, and it's brilliant, and the whole team get behind that and they love it. But seeing that little moment of a customer that's used their hard-earned cash to go and buy RIXO and they're wearing it and styling it in their own way is like, oh, that's really interesting.
A moment.
Yeah, so I love that. That's definitely the best part. And it keeps you going as well. You're like, oh, okay, I know why I'm doing this. Hardest part is probably the things that we've never done before. So it's always like growing a team. What does that look like? Internationalisation of the brand, like kind of setting up different tax codes in different countries and all that sort of stuff that actually you don't think about, and like I guess the customer doesn't see any of that stuff behind the scenes, and that's always a really tough thing. But I'd say the hardest part is definitely growing a team and keeping that original startup culture as you do grow. I think that's kind of a difficult part.
Yeah, absolutely, all the boring stuff. So you started this beautiful brand in 2015 from your flat while you were at university.
Yeah.
What inspired you to say, do you know what, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I guess so. Ola and I started it together in 2015, about 6 months after we graduated. We met at university where we were studying fashion at London College of Fashion, and we were both obsessed with vintage, but it was like a weird obsession where like all our other friends at uni just were not obsessed. So on a Sunday, hungover or not, we were going to a vintage fair, or we were like, let's go to all these cool charity shops, and we were finding things and wearing them at the weekends and stuff when we were going out. I mean, the first couple of years of RIXO, we then just didn't leave the house. So I think that kind of gave us, and we both had the same passion for it. It was just like we'd be scrolling on eBay for hours in the evenings, and it was just like and there wasn't really Instagram then when we were at uni. So I think there was that raw passion that we were both obsessed with vintage, and we couldn't really find what we were looking for on the market at the time. Like I worked in Selfridges on the shop floor, and in the kind of contemporary era, and it was very much Alexandra Wang, Helmut Lang, Angolia by Vivienne Westwood. It was all See by Chloe, Acne. There was no like feminine, bohemian, gorgeous silk printed dresses, and we had like old, like Ozzie Clark and Sylvia Burwell dresses, and we were like, why is there nothing like this? So I think that's kind of what gave us the ultimate kind of let's just go for it.
And I think also for me personally, like I used to buy vintage for all those reasons, but also because I couldn't necessarily afford the Christian Dior slip dress. And I think where you've really nailed it is your price point for that look. You know, like would that be a fair sort of assumption?
Definitely, because I think we thought actually, Ola always says it as well, when you look at in the magazines, I guess it's less so now, but there used to be like a splurge or like a steal or something, and the steal would be kind of still really expensive for, I guess, the demographic that we were thinking, actually there's a demographic out there that doesn't want Zara, but they can't afford a preen silk dress at over £3,000.
Yeah.
And I think at that time when we filtered Net-a-Porter, and we first launched on Net-a-Porter, when you looked at filtered by silk printed dress, there was either something at £3,000 or then RIXO came up at like £300, and it was just, I think it was crazy to the customer. But we didn't have all the marketing overhead, the office or anything, so we could do that. We would get basically given the all that value straight to the customer.
Amazing. So for people that don't know, RIXO has really become a firm favourite with loads of celebrities, which we all know in today's world is a really important thing. Anyone from Taylor Swift to Margot Robbie. What do you think was the brand's real turning point to kind of like go, okay, this is like we're a big deal? What do you think what was that moment?
I guess there's a few moments along the journey. I think launching on Net-a-Porter was incredible to start off with, because I think it just gave you that validation that people then took us seriously, because it's really hard to... they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
We have no... Like, it's not as if we have parents in fashion or any background. We knew no one in London, so we just became professional stalkers. We didn't have agencies representing us.
I love
so
that. Professional stalker.
Honestly, people used to say, I've seen it now, please stop DMing me. We would DM them every day and say, oh, we've not got back yet. Can we just show you this? Like, can we go for coffee? It was probably way too much, but we were just like on it. We had nothing else to do but just literally bombard everyone. And a couple of stylists then were just like, yeah, okay, send some stuff here, don't know if it'll work. And we were never pushy and were following up and saying, why is this person not wearing it? We were just actually like, if they want to wear the brand and like the brand and they're calling in, oh my god, amazing, we'll gift you whatever you want if it works. And then randomly you'd just see Taylor Swift and like her stylist tagging, or Selena Gomez wearing it in Venice, and that was just like, the Instagram went mental. And then you'd be like, what the hell's happened? You'd be like, oh my god, we've been hacked or something's going on. And then you'd be like, oh no, Selena's just tagged and it's unreal. So yeah, there's those pinch me moments that are really incredible.
Which really then, I think, give other customers the confidence to sort of say, even if they're not thinking it, there's like an inner thing that sort of like, it does validate a brand, whether we like it or not. You know, definitely. You're like, oh, well, she's cool, she's wearing it, I like it, I'll go and have a look.
Definitely. It gives you that, and it also gives you that just like brand awareness. Like, and it's the global brand awareness. So if someone wears it in the States, it's like, it goes all across like Europe, the UK, like everywhere. So it is just like, just a real brand awareness moment.
Yeah, definitely. So personally as a stylist, obviously I love your styles, but for me, with a lot of my clients are not sample size. So RIXO for me is incredible, because not everybody will know this, but you guys go up to a UK 26, which for me is like, what? like it, for people who don't dress people for a living, unless your client, and I bang on about this all the time, unless your client is a sample size, which for people that don't know what a sample size is, it's basically a UK 6, which is not everybody's size. You can still be famous and you can still be a celebrity and you're not a size 6. So for me, even when a brand says, listen, she's not our sample size, but you can pull from the store, even pulling from a store, from most brands, most luxury brands or high street brands or anything in between, even they only go up to a size 14, 16 if you're lucky. And then not every style goes up to that size. They might have just cherry picked a few things. So tell me how, why, because this fascinates me, and I think not a lot of people know that RIXO as a brand do this enormous range of sizes. So talk to us about the decision, why you did it and how you did it, and why other people aren't doing it.
Yeah, I guess that to us, it always comes down to the customer. We knew there was that demand there for it, and we thought, actually, do you know what? RIXO is quite a specific aesthetic. If you don't like vintage or printed or dresses, or that's not absolutely fine, we would never. But if you are that, it doesn't matter if you're a size 6 or an 18 or a 26. Like, if you love that vintage inspired look and a dress and you're quite feminine, then we would hate for a customer to come into one of our stores and feel, one, intimidated, because I think it's all relative back to the woman. Like, you could be a size 6 but absolutely hate your arms, even though it's crazy. Women, we are all crazy about our own bodies. Like, you could be a size 16 but hate your bust or anything. So it's all relative to different...
Everyone's got
something they don't like, which is completely fair enough. And we thought, actually, can we create a range where someone actually... We didn't want to be a fashion brand where people feel like, oh, a bit intimidated to go into or anything. So that was like, our whole essence of RIXO is about the community and humans of RIXO, and anyone we would like to think can be a humans of RIXO if you like our style. So I think that was one thing. From the very get-go, we were really kind of obsessed with that. And it was, again, the same with age as well. But I think when it comes down to, say, like, the nitty-gritty and the logistics behind it, when we first launched, we were doing literally like 30 to 50 units of everything. That was it. And when you say to a factory, can you grade that from a size 6 to a 12 or something, they're then doing like 5 pieces per style. For them to then grade it, it's just impossible. They won't do it for you, and you don't have the bargaining power as a young brand to do that. So when we launched, we could only launch with, I think we had 4 sizes, but every single season as we grew, we were putting pressure onto our suppliers to say, actually, now we need a 14, now we need a 16, now we need an 18. And I think it's taken, actually, really long internally for us to get all our grading right, and it's still like always, as we've launched into the US and we've got a bigger pocket of customers in the US, the sizing there and the grading is something we're working really hard internally on to get that right, because I don't think we're 100% there with it yet.
And also everybody's body is different. So a size 6 is different in every woman, and a size 26 is also different in every woman. So
we use all the feedback that comes back, but I think we were like, as soon as we can do it and our suppliers will do it with us, then we're 100% going to go for it, because there's nothing worse than feeling like, oh God, I can only go.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's just not a nice feeling, and I think women already beat ourselves up, so why should we as an industry alienate anybody even more? And it's the same with petites as well. So then when we announced that we were going up to 26, we had all the petite women going crazy, being like, don't forget us petite women, I'm 5'2", what about me and everything. And I'm like, it's easier to slightly easier to shorten things, but I guess some things of the arm lengths and everything. So we have launched a small petites range as well, and we're trialling and testing that. But it all comes with like the evolution of the brand, like have we got enough garment techs to do it right internally? So now we have a team of 2 to 3 garment techs in-house that work really closely with Orla, and we can get there and improve it each time. The fit is a massive part of the brand, but I think we just didn't want to alienate a pocket of the market.
So why do you think most brands do alienate? Why do you think most people don't do it?
Because it's really hard. It's really difficult. It's not actually like, and to be honest with you, I can't sit here and say how hard or easy it is, because I'm not the garment tech and I'm not specialised in that, but I know how long it's taken internally for us to get there. It's a difficult project to undertake. It's hard to get the grading right. It's really difficult, and I'm not sitting here saying that we've got it perfect. We need to be tweaking. Orla and the team are refitting things every single season, even if it's like a continued block. So it is really difficult.
It's hard. Yeah. I mean, that's honest, at least. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I just think sometimes it's, as you say, it's just so disheartening. I mean, I'm like a UK 8, 10, and I went into Saint Laurent in Paris, and the guy, I was like, can I try this jacket on? He was like, yeah, you're an extra large. It's like, I don't want to be an extra large.
That's crazy.
Like,
in any world that you're an extra large.
And then, like, and that's me. So like, it's a very messed up industry.
Yeah. I think there's been a lot of marketing behind it, where they were getting plus size girls on the runway and stuff, but it comes in, it's a bit like sustainability. It comes in waves. That's the hot topic, then it comes down again, and I'm just like, do you know what, just stay true to what you want to do, and don't jump on a bandwagon of banging on and greenwashing, or then being like, we never do anything for a marketing. There's not a marketing. There's like a genuine want from our customer, and that's why we do. And we believe in it. Yeah,
because what I find difficult as a stylist is that a brand will put a plus size model. It could be one of my clients, or it could just be another model on the runway, and then you're like, oh my God, amazing. And then you go to borrow it, or you go to use it, and they're not interested. Yeah. And then that's really annoying, because it's like, well, why did you use her on the runway then if you can't dress her in real life?
Yeah.
But anyway. So, any advice for anybody who is graduating fashion school, college, university this summer, who thinks, you know what, I really want to start my own fashion brand, or thinking they're doing their GCSEs, A-levels, and they're thinking about, actually, I'd like to start my own fashion brand, but they haven't gone through any of the kind of training yet. What would your advice be?
I'd say get as much, say if you're leaving your GCSEs and you think, actually, do you know what, university's not for me, it's not the be all and end all. I think get as much hands-on experience as you can. As soon as I was 16, I was like interning wherever I could, working on the retail shop floor, understanding that customer. If you're interested in fashion, you've got to understand the customer, what they're buying, and it makes you then realise, actually, women, like, you take it for granted if you can style and dress yourself. Lots of women actually need help, and they want assistance, and they don't know how to put what top with what skirt, or it doesn't come naturally to them. So if that's your skill set and you can just dress yourself and style yourself, then I think don't take it for granted that the rest of the demographic can. So I think I would say definitely getting it like hands-on experience as much as possible, either in a head office, and just really put yourself out there. So it's not all about kind of like studying, I guess. I think the hands-on experience is really helpful. Like, it just gives you life skills in regards to how to communicate with people, even email etiquette and just all that sort of stuff that doesn't, if you're not doing it before, you don't get taught that. You just got to get stuck in and do it. And then I'd say as well, there's never a good time to start your own business. So don't wait for the perfect time, because the older you get, a lot of people said to Orla and I, for instance, you need more experience, no one in the industry, work for 5 years, learn and then go for it. And we were like, well, we've got no kids, we've got no husbands or boyfriends, we've got no mortgage, we've got no real responsibilities, we've got time and passion, let's just go for it. So I think don't wait for that perfect time, because life gets in the way. Yeah,
it's so true, life gets in the way. But going back to your retail point as well, I have a lot of young stylists who message me, email me, call me all the time going, we really want to assist you, have you got any assistant positions? And I always say to people, even if they do assist me and they genuinely want to be a stylist, go and work in a shop.
Yeah.
Because if you work in a shop, you will pick up every single skill that you need to be a stylist. Because most women, as you were saying before, walk through a door of a shop and they don't really like themselves. And I don't mean that in a really negative way.
No, but it's true.
But it's kind of true. And working with models and VIPs, celebrities, they're no different.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that was the best thing that I ever did, was working in shops.
Yeah.
My 100% was my best training.
And it's tough as well, because you're working with all different walks of life. They're coming in, everyone's got their own issues.
Everyone brings their own stuff through the door.
Yeah.
So when things get hectic or stressful in this beautiful world of RIXO, which I can't ever imagine it does, what's your coping mechanism?
Do you know what? I know this sounds really negative, but I guess sometimes a good cry. You just need to get it out. And there's not times, like, I think it can be all alright.
Watch a movie, sad.
I feel like I don't have time.
Just cry.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's all, I think, call Orla. Me and Orla always kind of will reconnect. And if she's had like a rough week or something's going on, because the business is so fast paced and everything's moving quickly. And sometimes like you're dragged from one thing to another thing. Like the meetings you go to, one could be like recording a podcast, then you're going into a finance meeting, then it's like a wholesale distribution meeting, then it's design sign off, and it's just like all encompassing. So sometimes actually you don't have time to even just breathe and get out, and then it can sometimes be pent up for 2 months or something. But then if Ola and I then talk to each other, and then we just have a good old cry, and we're like, okay, do you know what, we're going to get through this, we'll do it and stuff. But I think you always feel better, which kind of is maybe a really emotional way of doing it. But I think we both just had children as well, so we're probably a bit emotional. But I think that always makes you, I think if you have that release, and you then feel a bit better, and you're like, do you know what, we can do this together and we'll move on. Yeah,
that's really nice. Having run, not as huge or on a global level as you, but like I have run my own retail business before with young children, and we were saying before we started filming, like with me, with my stores, every time I had a child, there became like 5 days later there would be like this huge opportunity, like a phone call from Harrods, will you open a concession? I was like, I've just had a baby. How do you juggle both? Because that for me has been throughout my career, even now, I think that's still the hardest thing, is juggling. So how do you do it?
It definitely is a juggle. I think that's the right word, and I don't think there's any balance there, and I don't think anyone feels that, especially as a mother, you don't feel like you've got it right all the time. I don't see my children really in the week. I guess I see them on a Monday evening, and then I don't see them until Friday again, just because work was my first baby, and we're at a stage now which is such a critical stage of RIXO. And it's tough, but it just means that I think something's got to give. And I would say what gives for me is that social life. Like I hardly see my close friends or my I never, like everyone's like, oh, do you have a baby shower or this? I'm like, I do not. How am I fitting a baby shower into my life? Like I just don't do the normal things, which I guess is sad. And some people can be like, oh God, and judge you for not doing those
or
things.
They don't understand.
Yeah, and I'm just like, do you know what? For me, I'm actually quite happy that my life is RIXO, and then my kids and my husband at the weekend and family, and that they're the two things that make me happy. So I guess the thing that forgoes is that whole social life.
I think for me it's the social life, never being able to put a point in the diary with a friend and say absolutely 100% I can meet you then. So I'm always like, let me, like, I don't, which is annoying for people, and I don't really work out anymore. And I think something does have to give sometimes. But then I was talking to my 20-year-old eldest daughter yesterday actually, and I was like, oh, I'm not this, and I don't look like this anymore, and I don't look like this. And she was like, personally from my side, I'd rather you were like, as in her words, a baddie slaying, which I think is cool, than like just doing Pilates all day.
Exactly.
So I'm like obsessed with like how you look. So I was like, you know what, if I inspire her to try and be the best version of herself, or like for other women, like it doesn't, like for me, I've changed around a lot of different things in my life, and that it's never the wrong time to start again.
Yeah. And I think the grass is always greener. Like, you can go on Instagram and be like,
Oh
I'd
my
love
gosh.
to do that boxing class or that Pilates
Yeah.
class. And I'm like, all these people that are into reform, I'm like, brilliant, but 3
When?
times a week, when are you? I don't. So Ola and
When?
I always say that, like, Ola loves going on a run, but she hardly ever gets time
Yeah.
to. And I used to love doing like a boxing class.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember the last time I did a gym class in years.
No.
And that does sometimes get you down a bit, and it's probably not right. But
Something's
got to give.
Something's got to give, for sure. So obviously, like, amazing what you've achieved so far. What's in the pipeline for RIXO? Have you got anything special coming up that you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, so we're always working on new things, I guess, and there are always things that you work like 1 to 2 years behind the scenes on launching, but a real focus point for us is the US market. So we've just opened our first US store that launched in Nolita, 19 Prince Street. So it's a gorgeous little boutique store. It's got an outdoor courtyard that we do vintage shows in at the weekend. So that's really nice. It feels like a true brand development for us to have that, and for the community to go there, see the product in real life. So the US is the big focus as a market as we move forward. And then just evolving the product categories as well. So we're launching homeware in October time, which is really nice. I think the customer's been wanting that for ages. So just developing the product, but staying true to who we are. Like, we're not going to go into menswear and kidswear and everything else that people request every day. So I think
you should do.
Yeah.
No, we shouldn't.
But exactly. So I think women's wear, there's so much to do to just develop the product in regards to different fabrications and everything. So we're going to just stay true to ourselves with women's wear, but really try and internationalise the brand as we grow.
Amazing. I'm going to have a look at your store because I'm actually in New York this weekend, so I'm going to pop down because I haven't had time to go, so I'm definitely going to go. I think I know what your answer to this is going to be from talking to you today, but what do you think RIXO's kind of like secret sauce is? Like, what do you think? Why do you think you've been so successful?
I think it's multiple things, but I think that me and Ola, it's the dedication and the passion. We are so passionate, and there's people behind the brand. I think sometimes as you grow, a new customer that you acquire from social media, paid, sponsored ads or so, sometimes it really frustrates Ola and I because they don't understand that there's people behind the brand, and we're putting blood, sweat and tears into this, and we have done for the last 9 years. Yeah. So I think for us, the fact that there's real people behind the brand that care, and there's a passion there, and that we are constantly listening to the customer, I think that's one of the key points.
And I think also from an outsider, I think the fact that sort of initial love of vintage has, you know, you were saying before, sort of people get on the, you know, the size inclusivity, you know, bandwagon, they get on the sustainability, but they do it for like a season and then it's done. And I think for me, looking into the brand as a stylist, like, I really see that true authentic passion for vintage. I mean, even in the store here, you have your RIXO pre-loved, and when people can bring their RIXO pieces back, and, you know, like, I just think for me it's that authenticity, is like, as you say, you come in and you know what you're going to get. Like,
I hope so. Yeah,
absolutely.
But everything we do is all of it. Where I was like the coffee table in this room, for instance, that was from my mum's house, and then we're beg, borrow, steal, where like the carpet's from an auction or something. Like, you know, we're always kind of, it's how we dress our own homes. Obviously this is a lot nicer than our own homes because we put time and dedication into it.
The way, if you haven't, guys, if you haven't been to this store yet on the King's Road in London, it's definitely worth a trip. And I'm not just saying this, I've lived just up the road at the World's End area of King's Road for almost half my life, which is quite a long time, and I see stores coming and going on this road, and it is obviously one of the most famous shopping roads in London, and I live at the end of it. And one of my favourite stores is the World's End, Vivienne Westwood, and this is one of my other favourites because the detail and, you know, the just the way you've just put it together. It's not like a regular store. So honestly, huge congratulations, because I know personally how hard it is to curate your own brand, and just the little, we're going to do some filming so that the viewers can see. But there's everywhere you look, there's something that's really interesting and authentic to the RIXO brand. So from a Kings Road gal, huge congratulations, because I see people coming and going, and you know, when I saw that you guys were like moving in here, I was like, that's such a smart idea, because I loved your little one down the road that you first opened, but this is like a real moment. So huge congratulations on this beautiful store, this beautiful brand, and I hope that I will continue to watch the success as you do it. But thank you so much for joining me on Behind the Style.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a great chat.
Thank you.